subject of today's podcast is the sustainable city, the car-free city specifically, looking at projects which have proposed the removal of the automobile from cities around Europe. Have they ever been proposed for Rome? Not since about 50 BC, when the city ordinance under the reign of Julius Caesar prohibited vehicles with wheels from occupying city streets, at least during daylight hours. Since the early 20th century, automobiles have progressively taken over the streets of the city of Rome, much to the detriment of the livability ratings of the city. Today, if one looks at Rome, it's hard not to just see public space taken over by fossil fuel burning and danger-wreaking vehicles. Motor scooters, which I'm guilty of riding myself on occasion, turn out to produce the worst of the air pollution, especially the particles in the air, although they do occupy less space, and larger automobiles, sometimes newer ones, which pollute less and yet are used more and more, occupying space, which leads to traffic, which leads to slowdowns, and thus more idling, more consumption. The most damaging result really is the harm done to the public transit system, which years back was, at least for a young foreigner trying to get around Rome, sufficient to get almost everywhere in an acceptable amount of time. The miles traveled, the number of trips per day, all of the other indices of successful public transit have shown that Rome has become worse, has worsened its offering at the same time that most other European cities have improved theirs. In fact, if one looks to the north for examples, we see cities in Scandinavia which have removed automobiles, punished them, taxed them. London has imposed a congestion tax, requiring people to pay a fee to enter the center of the city. Rome, while it does pretend to eliminate traffic by having the ZTL, the limited traffic zone, in the historical center, in truth, so many people have permits to enter that area, both residents, people that work there, and the countless number of government cars which circulate in the historical center, not to mention after 6 p.m. and on weekends when anybody can circulate, that the center of the city is inundated with automobiles nevertheless. One of the principal problems is that despite the laws in the books, there is a fairly laissez-faire attitude on the part of those who are supposed to enforce those laws. And I've often heard the observation that they can't enforce the parking laws because there's just not enough places for people to park. To which I often respond that it's a bit like saying that I should leave a grand piano out in the street because my apartment is too small for it. Well, maybe I shouldn't have bought the grand piano in the first place, and maybe people should think twice before they purchase cars, asking themselves what they'll do with them. I believe that one of the big moves, one of the big policy changes that could be made to reverse this dangerous trend in the automobilization of Rome, if you will, is the banning of advertising of cars. First, banning it from public transportation. There's nothing so contradictory as seeing a bus stuck in traffic bearing a huge billboard claiming the advantages of driving a fast Volvo or SUV. But banning automobile advertising all around, the way commercials for cigarettes and guns and other things have been banned, would be a step in the right direction. I also believe that the sale of automobiles should be limited based on the reduction of the number of overall cars, meaning in order to sell a car, a concessionary would have to, a car dealer would have to take an existing car, at least one existing car off the streets, recycling its parts and guaranteeing that the damage done to the city and to the environment will be reduced by the sale of that car.